Hello and welcome everybody to the third installment in the second book of Aisling, Daughter of Alba. Today's title is Petrina Spitina, which means houses of stone. At the moment, you are traveling on your way to Monofrastos, where your parents, not your parents, where your mother is from. And
Dad is alive? What?
no, no.
That would be.
That would be weird, yes.
Well, she could punch him in the nose.
Yeah, well, you tried. He was already dead, so that didn't go down so well. And you basically found two traveling companions, Scionides and Duthales, who are monks, or who are going to be monks. They are hoping to meet up with somebody called Ascaidos Polystrates, who's a stylite and who's a very holy man. And they would like to become his disciples. It's a bit difficult to become a disciple because he likes his seclusion, but sometimes you're lucky, or at least he will give you advice, and you can live in the woods or in the mountains and be really holy. And you have been traveling through the mountains, through the Katalideon, which is basically a mountain range, and you have also met one of its inhabitants. Well, several of them. They've got eagles, but what was more worrisome was that they have really large spiders. You met one of them, but you killed it.
Yeah, because it tried to eat us.
Yes, it did. It was like, ugh. But then again, you did invade its home. So there was a home invasion because you were trapped by an earthquake. So you basically tried to get away. You found a cavern. You decided, hey, there is no bears, so we'll just go in there. But somebody else was living there and she was like, I won't have this. But she's dead now. Then you went on and you came to a monastery called Nephiloikos, which is essentially a huge monastery that has been hewn into the rock face. And the monks living there are basically tied to their mountain. They can't leave. They don't leave. So they can't hunt. They don't sow. They don't harvest. So anything that they have, except for the water, is brought to them by people who are religious. And you have also made them an offering. You've brought them 2 hares, and they've given you hospitality in their monastery. And it's basically it is a very holy place. You've met the abbot, Dimitrios, and you also were treated to a mass, which you didn't attend, but you heard them sing. And it was like choir singing that went on for about an hour. Yeah, I was going to do something for our dear friend to see was she actually able to glean anything from this. Oh my god. She rolled a 100. She was not able to focus at all.
At all. That's far, far, far away from anything useful.
That was a botch. That was terrible. Yeah.
Headaches.
Headaches, yes, indeed. That was nothing. So the next morning, you wake up again, but this time you wake up because somebody's ringing a bell. And they're ringing the bell incessantly. And then it's quite early still. So it's not even dawn yet. So you wake up and you hear this ding, 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 and it's not stopping. Is this an alarm?
Do we hear outside loud voices or anything like that?
You hear nothing.
I will have a look. She will get up and she will open the door and just peek out, just to see what is happening outside.
Well, it's still dark, but you see a procession of monks, all wearing their tunics, and they are moving from one, because basically you are in the courtyard. That's where the visitors' beehive-like huts are. And they're moving from one area to another, and the area that they're moving to seems to be the temple or the church. So they're probably coming from their living quarters. They're completely silent. The only noise that you hear are their footsteps and the incessant dinging of that blasted bell.
But they move slowly, not in hectic, like they need to quick. Okay.
They move in single file, one after the other, and they are very quiet and absolutely serene in their movement, not rushing at all.
She will just close the door, turn around, will plonk herself back on the bed. Ignore it, it's just for them to be called to prayers, I guess.
And you always said that my church was strict?
No, I'm taking all of that back.
Thank you.
Let's hope it ends soon.
After a while, the ringing stops.
Okay, for a few more minutes, we still kind of hear the ringing.
Yeah, it's still ringing in your ears. And then you can hear that at least Siobhan has fallen back asleep.
Yeah, Ashling will try to get a little bit more sleep as well.
Yeah, you manage, and then you do wake up again. This time round, the sun is already shining, and Siobhan wakes up as well. She stretches and she says, now I'm hungry.
Breakfast sounds good.
How about you prepare breakfast and I get some water? And she gets up and she takes the bucket and she draws water from the well.
Yeah, I will put together a little breakfast with things we have.
Yeah. And you have breakfast, and then after a while, you hear the voice of Duthales, who says, "May I enter?"
Yes, please come in.
And he steps inside and he says, we were telling the abbot that your friend is a holy person, and he wanted to know, did you want to see the church?
Ashling will look at Siobhan.
Siobhan is interested.
We would love to, as it seems.
Well then, it is now free. The monks have finished morning prayer.
Then give us 5 minutes just to clean up, and then let's have a look. Mm-hmm. And Ashling will just finish the last bite of breakfast and just drink the last sip of, I guess, tea. Mm-hmm. And then clean up a bit.
You clean up. She does the same. The two of you step outside, and the abbot is standing there with another monk. That monk is a lot younger, maybe your age, so very young. And the abbot says a couple of words to him, and the young man nods, and then Duthales says, "This is Spiros. He will show us around. He's one of the ones that are allowed to talk. Well, let's put it this way. He never took the vow of silence. It is not required." And you go towards the church, and you enter, and it is... You have seen stone buildings before. If in effect, you grew up in one. So you're very aware of the acoustics. You walk in and there is reverberation everywhere. However, the house that you grew up in, or the building, was built. This has been really hewn into stone. It's like walking into a man-made cave. But considering that it's hewn out of stone, it is still quite tall. It's about the ceiling is kind of vaulted. About 5 meters from the ground, is at the highest, at the apex. And there is probably something that you may not have expected. The back wall is a huge painting, and it is gilded. And you can see that there are lots and lots of implements that are made, that seem to have been made from gold. There are sconces where you put in torches that are made of gold. There are also, it looks a bit strange. It seems like there are pictures of faces, and some of those pictures, they're all framed in gold. And you have a painting of the person, but some of the painting is was kind of then sculpted onto it with like metal. So and you have men and women there depicted there. And then basically Spiros starts talking, and Duthales informs you that what you're seeing here, these are icons. These are all the holy men and women of the Nea Dea. Very important. Most of them died in the struggle for the poor or against the demons.
Demons.
Yes, even after the Sea Masters were defeated, Thalassa is still full of demons. And every so often they try to escape, and then somebody has to stand in front of them. And some of these people try to do it with force of will, and some use the force of the gods, like your mother's people.
They seem to have a combination of both.
Your mother's people, yes, because they are very, very religious.
And strong fighter, as far as I know.
Very strong. Very strong. And then he points to a gold box. Not very big. And he says, and this is their most prized possession. This is the hand of El Bios. He was a healer, and one day there was a huge plague, and it ravaged all the lands. And he went to the Nea Dea and he said, people are dying, do something. But she's a stern goddess, she didn't help, but her son did. He showed him how to make a cure, and he made the cure, and he cured everyone. But then he fell amongst the robbers, and they murdered him. They didn't know who he was. And so to this day, we do not know what the recipe was. It died with him. But they say that if you are very sick, his hand will cure you if you are worthy.
Then it's good to keep it here in a safe place.
It is. Lots of pilgrims come here with their ailments in summer. And it says that every so often he works a miracle.
We need a lot of that in this world.
You believe in miracles? You believe in the gods?
Let's say I hope for miracles. I'm not so sure on the god's part. That's more for her. And she will nod over to Siobhan.
Siobhan is super fascinated by everything. She looks at everything. She looks at every single icon. She takes it all in.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns around when she says this, and she says, "Oh, the gods are always with us." Also with that one, although she denies them every single day. I've got my work cut out for me.
Well, the gods did not show much help or interest so far, haven't they?
She bumps you with her elbow.
Aisling decides to be quiet now, and she will, do a step back. If she could vanish into the shadows, trying not to be there, it would be her way. She knows she has no chance because she's definitely too... Hello, here I am.
Yeah, you are even in this sized cathedral-like area, you cannot vanish. So basically, you finish the tour, and then Dutale says, "Should we move on towards Nicostria? We should reach it by nightfall."
Yeah, I think that would be good. Can you thank the monks, please, that they gave us a place to stay, and also
I will,
were nice
will.
enough to show us
I will. And he
They're
says something
beautiful.
to Spiros, and Spiros nods and smiles at you.
Mm-hmm.
So you get ready, you pack your things,
Yep.
take the horses,
Yup.
and you essentially descend from the mountain. And although sometimes people say the descent is a lot harder than the ascent, and this is quite often true, this time it's different because you came from sea level more or less, and now you're descending, but not as far. So basically, you don't have to cover as many height meters, as it were. And then you see before you a huge open plain, and you can see buildings, and you see that there is now a road again, and a real road, and very soon you come past a castron, and it looks very much like a hall. And basically there are a couple of houses around it as well. And you are informed that basically this is where the person who has been given this castron, the Archon, has his troops to ensure that, nobody comes that shouldn't be coming. And he's basically guarding the road. And then you see that there is, after a while, you see the walls of a city, and you saw the walls of crossing. This is crossing pales into insignificance. You see huge walls. They're all white. The sun is setting, and the sun is reflected off of the white walls and the red roofs of these buildings. And he says, "Behold, Nicostria." And as you get closer, and I posted a couple of pictures
Now I know what the pictures were.
in Discord. It is huge. The walls are 15 meters high. The gate that you're coming through has like a turret that is again 8 meters above the top of the wall. And from an architectural point of view, for those who are listening to this, it looks a lot like the walls of the Hittite Empire, which stretched for miles and miles, and they are really wide so that 5-6 soldiers can walk abreast on them. There's crenellations. It's very easily defended. There is also a moat around it, and basically there is a drawbridge. And it is just huge. And you come to the gate, and there are several guards there with very long, very, very long lances. And you think that, well, they seem to be quite impractical. They're at least 3 meters long. And you also see that they look quite different from the soldiers that you would see. They are all armored in metal. They all have like a cuirass and braces on arms and legs, and they all have metal helmets.
Okay.
With nose guards, and they basically watch everyone that's coming and going. People who are leaving, they kind of ignore, but everybody who comes is then asked to halt. And Duthalis starts talking to them, and they nod, and then they look at you, and then he says, "We're not from here. We need to register."
Then let's register.
You would also be asked not to use your weapons, and he looks at Siobhan, and also you should not use any of your abilities without getting permission first.
If no one attacks us, I will not attack anyone. She will smile.
he just looks at you and he says, then let's pray to the Nea Dea that no one will attack you, because I can tell you this for nothing. Retribution is swift, and you are not a citizen.
No, but I will defend our lives if we have to.
He nods, and Siobhan takes your arm and she says, every time you see somebody that looks at you weirdly, just breathe and count to 3.
They know that I don't need weapons to be quite dangerous, do they?
You are a weapon.
I just need my hands and my feet.
But please try to be...
I'm not here to start a fight. We're just on the way through.
Mm-hmm. Except when your very short fuse blows.
So far, they haven't given me any reason to.
Very good. So let's keep it that way. And I'm gonna make sure that I keep you fed and watered.
I'm not a horse.
Yeah, she just basically exchanges glances with Storm, and Storm kind of like rolls his eyes. You know, the two of them, between the two of them, they're trying to take care of you. It's tough. And you basically make your way into the city, and now you can... Let's roll something. Let's do a perception check.
Lottie, what the hell is perception in... Why is this not available in English? That would be so much easier.
I know. It's under Fertigkeiten rechts, Wahrnehmung ganz unten.
Okay. It's not that I haven't rolled it before, but my brain still always resets to what?
Yeah, I'm always looking for perception or insight, but it's never there.
Nope.
Okay. How far off are you?
6 off.
Okay, yeah. This place is bustling. There are so many people walking around, men and women alike. You also see one or the other sedan chair being carried, where basically somebody seems to be sitting. They have their curtains drawn, and it is just... There's just so much life.
Mm-hmm. Is
but
it
what you...
cleaner than the first town we encountered?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And this is something that you notice. First of all of the roads and streets are paved.
Mm-hmm.
All the houses are made. There is no wooden houses that you can see. All the houses are built from stone.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all whitewashed. So
Okay.
the whole city is white, and they all have red roofs.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have, or you can see balconies
Mm-hmm.
that they are made of wood. So they basically jut forward.
Yep.
And what you notice is that there are militia walking around, but they're kind of like inoffensive. They're just, a couple here, couple there.
They're also carrying weapons?
They are carrying
Okay.
short swords. Short
Short. Tiny sword.
Tiny swords. And these ones don't wear helmets, and they don't have these spears. They just have the short swords. And the atmosphere is vibrant. People are talking. Again, for Siobhan, this is a bit much. Because for Siobhan, it's what am I saying? For the horses, it's a bit much because it's really loud. Siobhan is sucking it up because she has managed to learn a couple of words, because the two of you have been studying Friesen, so you're able to kind of like hear stuff, and she's basically turning her head, listening, and it is more people than you have ever seen in your life in one place, even compared to crossing.
Yeah.
And the streets are wide, and easily 2 carts could basically pass each other. That's how wide they are.
Yeah.
And then he says, now we need to find the pilgrims area where we can stay. That's where we find an abode. And then we go to register. First, we need to find a place where we can stay, but that is not a problem. They know that strangers come here all the time. I told you that there is this assembly that assembles that is supposed to help the Basileus. And they come from all over, and they need to stay somewhere as well. So there is a lot of hospitality here. But for people like us, and for you as well, there are pilgrims' homes. They are simple, but they are clean.
That's all we need. We don't want to stay forever.
And you walk through. He just stops a person and he randomly just asks them, and they make some pointing gestures, and he's like, "Oh, we have to pass the Horologion, and then past the Theatron, and that's where we'll find it." I could have thought so myself, because quite a lot of the Theatron troops, they travel, and they would stay near the Theatron. Now, Theatron isn't a word that you've heard before. And
No,
Horologion also.
Ashling would ask what it means.
Oh, I am sorry. We will, and he talks to Skyonides, and he looks at Skyonides, and Skyonides begins nodding vigorously. We will treat you to our performance. It is something else.
Performance?
The Theatron, that's where they... how shall I describe it? It's like a story that is being told, but there are people who are telling the story together. It's like a dialogue or more people talking, and then there is singing and there is music. You will see it. You will love it.
In her mind, it's more like a stage in like, I don't know, an inn where people are either telling stories or making music. Yeah. But she's curious now.
And then you pass a building that is round. Mm-hmm. It looks like a stunted tower. Again, red roofs. And on top is a sun. And he says, this is the Horologion.
There as well, she would ask what it is, because she also has no idea.
Well, that is where we keep time.
Keep time? You can't gauge up the time? What?
he laughs. I am sorry. How do you know what time it is? So when I say to you, meet at the 5th hour, how do you know that it's the 5th hour?
I highly doubt they are calculating in 5th hour. It's more like where the sun is roughly standing, and that's it. We don't count in hours. We just look at the sun and the moon, and then we have a rough idea if it's morning, lunch, evening.
Well, we need to hurry, because I need to show you this, because this, in my opinion, is one of the most important. I suppose maybe not if you do not really need to know exactly when something will happen. I will show you. And you walk past the Horologion, then you come to the Theatron, and that is huge. It's a huge building. It's got 2 wings, and then the entrance, it's got pillars. It looks, by all counts and purposes, it actually looks from the outside like a Greek temple that has 2 wings. You can't see inside, but it's got stairs up, and it is massive. It's so, I mean, it's easily 100 meters wide. It's huge.
It's the last picture, right? That you sent,
Yeah.
the one with
Yeah.
a
Yeah, exactly. So
seating
it's
place.
yeah. The only thing is you can't see the inside yet, so you
Yeah,
simply just see
but
the front. But yeah,
yep.
that's the amphitheater. And then you come to a place where there are lots of houses, where you also see that I wouldn't call it dirty. But there are obviously more horses because you can see horses, horse apples and stuff. But people are trying to get rid of them. Obviously, you can dry them and burn them. That's very good fuel. And he basically, again, you have signs, and then he says, maybe we should try this one. It says, the Hungry Pilgrim.
That sounds good.
He says, wait here, I will see. And he goes inside, stays away for about 20 minutes, comes back. We are in luck. They have enough room for all of us and the horses. And we can stay for as long as we like. I said 2 nights because I think you should really see this place. It's something else. Because, again, I know that you want to go to Monofrastos, but Monofrastos is going to be very different from this. But it is... Well, it is not Kroisos. Kroisos is like 5 times, no, maybe 10 times as big. But Nikostria is a very nice city. So, but we need to stable the horses ourselves. You just have to go around.
No worries, we can do that.
Okay. So you go in the you stable the horses.
Yeah, we stable the horses, make sure they are well fed, cleaned a little bit, have water.
You go inside, and you basically are greeted in Chrysean. You can say a couple of words now already. And you are shown to your room. So it's basically one room for the 2 guys and one room for you.
Yep, that's fine.
And it's again, it's entirely white on the inside. So they've whitewashed the walls. The floor is wood. Bedstead, table, what? And now there is something weird.
Okay.
Because where you would expect a wash basin, there is just a basin but no water. But out of the wall juts a little metal pipe that is kind of like bent at the end, and it's got like a little bit of a round thing at the top that looks a little bit like a screw.
Aisling would dump like her like travel gear, like blanket and things like that on one of the beds. And then she would step over and she would probably just talk against just the metal. Just
Sounds hollow.
And how does this work?
Not only that, what is it?
Well, it's hanging over the basin.
Is it like a spout that you would put into a wine cask?
It looks a little bit like it, doesn't it? Aisling would just... She's curious. She's not afraid to break things. So she will turn like the little thing on top just to see what happens. If you can push it or turn it, she will just try to fiddle around with it.
And you hear a noise, a rumbling noise.
Oh, this moment rumbling noise, she will close it again. Because she's definitely kind of still scared that she could break something. That sounded horribly.
So Siobhan is looking into the basin, kind of expecting something to happen. So what now?
It only makes noises. Aisling will open it again a little bit just to see if the noise will start again. And if so, she will close it up.
The noise is starting, but this time round, it starts almost immediately. And almost immediately, you drops of water are falling.
That's interesting. That's practical. I'm curious now from where the water's coming.
How does it get in there?
Well, it looks like it. It
Siobhan drops to her knees and looks underneath the basin. There is another pipe and it leads into the wall.
Well, this comes out of the wall. What if they have like a big... My brain want to say tub, although it's the wrong word.
Tank.
Tank. Although the word tank, I'm not sure she would even know. Like fuss.
Barrel.
A fuss barrel, thank you. A big barrel on top with water and just... Because water flows down, doesn't it? And maybe below they have like they just... It's dirty water, just... Hello Earth. Maybe...
That's ingenious. They have water on the roof and you open this and it just flows in.
Maybe? Well, the water needs to be from somewhere there.
Try again.
Aisling will open it again, carefully.
And now water is falling. Is falling from the water, because that's essentially a water tap. And it's clean. It smells a little bit of metal, but other than that, it seems to be pure water.
I will close it again. I don't want to waste anything. Well, that's a really nice way of doing that.
It's very practical. You don't have to go and fetch it.
No, although it's a question who brings the water up there.
Maybe it rains.
We didn't have much rain.
That is true.
Since we're here.
That is very true.
I think the only thing maybe that not everyone needs to fetch it, that it's just some people that have the job to bring water into the barrels or so. We can ask our travel companions if they...
We should. But the fact that I didn't see any dirt on the road. What if there is a pipe that actually leads into the earth, like you said? That's why there is no dirt outside.
Well, they definitely found a nice way to keep the city clean. This is much more inviting than crossing. That was horrible just by smelling.
Yeah, and there was no smell at all, except for the horses, but that was just in this district.
Well, it's the horses, they will always smell, but they know more than our people do from town building. Also,
I will
this
have
town
so
looks
much to write.
Yes, especially when we find out how they keep time.
That is going to be really strange, isn't it?
Yes.
Because, I mean, it looks like, to me it sounds like time is a person and they're keeping it in there.
Yeah, that was my idea on how do you cage up time. You can't, it just happens and moves forward if you want it or not.
It is weird.
After what they described, it's more that they're measuring time differently than we are.
Yeah, I mean, he had this word and it was hour. I've never heard the word hour before. I don't even know what that means. For us, it's like sunset, sunrise, midday, late at night. And of course that changes because the days get shorter in winter. So sunrise is always different. But if somebody really needs something urgently, they just come to you and then say, I need it now.
Yeah, or the next day, or in the evening. Well, it doesn't hurt to look and see how they do it.
And then she basically folds her hands behind her back, and she's basically kind of like looking.
Come on. Let's go see if our friends have a little bit more time to explain a few things.
She bounces on the balls of her feet. She jumps out like a little rubber ball.
Aisling will close the door behind, and we will walk over to the room from our travel companions and knock.
And the door opens, and Skirnidis says, "Yes. Oh, are you? You look ready. Do you want to leave now?"
If you have time, but first of all, and Ashling will have a peek if they have like the tap out of the wall as well.
Yes, they do.
How does that work?
He looks around and he's
Do they
puzzled.
have like a big barrel on the roof, or how does the water get into the wall?
Oh. Oh, I am sorry. You do not have this where you are from?
No.
It's called plumbing. It is pipes. They run through all the houses and they run underneath the city. It's the same in Kroisos. It's like sewers where everything gets collected and then washed out. And the water is both collected through rain, but then also added manually. They collect it from the rivers.
When we get back to crossing, we should tell them they should visit here and get an idea on how it's done much better.
And they also use the water. They have basically dammed the river a little, and there is a diversion that basically flushes through the sewers to ensure that no waste stays there. Erbailos taught us this as well. It helps for plague. If it is clean, people do not get sick so easily.
That is a brilliant way to do it. We definitely do not have that.
Oh, I see. Well, it is safe to drink and to wash. It is fresh water.
That is good to know.
He smiles.
I don't know what you say, but we would be really curious on the the timekeeping place.
The horologion.
Ashling will repeat that a few times just for herself, just to keep it.
Of course. It is on the Agora. That's also where we have to register. So it won't be a problem. We can do this in one go. Okay. And the two of them, basically the four of you, you can now make a do you have streetwise? Because she doesn't. But probably not, because streetwise is probably nothing that you get because you are so you're more like rural. Make a survival check.
Überleben. Oh boy, no.
Yeah, she neither. If you didn't have your guides with you, you would get lost. This is too overwhelming. But they basically let you in on a secret. Usually the Agora is always in the middle of town. It's easiest to find if you just look for the highest point. Acropolis, they explain to you that this means tip of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath it is the Agora. That is the huge place where everyone comes to assemble. This is very important. There is also the market, where you find stalls, you can buy everything. And you arrive at the Agora. You did walk past it, but you weren't paying that much attention, and it is actually huge. So size-wise, we're talking Markusplatz in Venice.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. And also square. Well, not square, but rectangular. Surrounded by buildings on all sides, and then there is streets going away, kind of like in a star-shaped pattern. Mm-hmm. And the horologion is on the west side.
Okay.
And it's 14 meters tall. And you basically it looks a little bit like a tower with those front pieces that look like entrances to Greek temples on four sides.
Okay, understood.
So you go inside, and inside you see again lots of paintings on the ceiling. And you see stars, you see the sun, you see the moon, and everything is either gilded or probably inlaid with silver, depending on what is shown. And like I said, there was a sun on top. You now notice that the sun is actually moving, so it's probably moved by the wind.
Okay.
So like a weather indicator.
Mm-hmm.
And inside you see 3 columns that are filled with water. And he looks at you and he says, "This is the horologion. We use water to measure time," and he points to one, month, and and the moon phase. Sorry, day and moon phase, not month and moon phase. Day and moon phase.
Okay. Aisling will step a little closer and have a look. And she will try to understand how. She still has no idea on it's what, how.
Duthales looks at you and he says, "I have no idea how it works. I just know it does." So now it says here, 5th hour of evening.
Aisling will just have a look around. I'm quite sure she does for sure not understand how this works.
Me neither, because it doesn't say.
Because it's like, what does water do with it? Well, okay, well. Okay, that's interesting. It's 5. And she will have a look how many hours there is.
There's 24.
That is a weird number to use.
Oh, we divide the year into 360 days plus 5 extra. Then we have each day has 24 of these hours.
Why is 24? That's like not a round number. Why not 20? Much easier.
The gods gave us this.
Well, it fits with the idea that Aisling doesn't think the highest of the gods, so they are crazy. This underlines it a little bit. 24.
Again, Siobhan is looking around. She's looking at everything. She's taking it all in. And then she comes to you and she says, "Do you know what? My problem is I can't draw. This would be perfect if I could paint, if I could draw. I can only use words to describe it, and I don't even know how to explain it."
Well, you can try to draw and see how it goes.
Yeah, right.
If you don't try it.
Remember the last time I drew a horse and you asked me what that spider was doing on the paper? I've never forgotten that.
As I said, you never know. Should we just see?
She gives you a dirty look.
I can try to draw as well. We can see which is better.
Yes, you draw and I describe.
No.
Perfect.
We both draw.
Oh, like a competition.
A little bit, maybe. Because
Okay.
Aisling has definitely nothing like drawing in her skill set.
No, she neither. Basically then, but then Duthales says, we do need to register, and I'm pretty sure that they close it at 7.
Then let's do that first. We can probably come back here if we want to.
You go to, you leave the horologion and you go to a different building. And again, it says something over the door. And then he says, "This is where we need to register." And there's a line of people standing there. Lots of them look like they have been traveling because they're wearing traveling cloaks. And and but they're dealt with pretty speedily, so you don't have to queue for long, and then you literally come to a hole in the wall. There is a person sitting behind. He's got very short cropped hair. And he has a pen and a scroll, and he says, Nomos, and then Duthalis says, name. Give your name.
Although most probably that is a word that we probably learned by now.
Yeah.
Aisling will say her name, and let's see how they cope with the name.
He looks at you, and then he basically writes something down. Then he looks and he says the equivalent of home.
Far away is not the answer, is it?
No.
Do we know under which name they know our place? Do they have a special name for it?
They call it Alba as well.
Then it would be Alba.
He writes it down. Then he looks at Siobhan. He does the same thing. She gives her name and her place. And he looks at Skyonides and Duthalis. They both say Kroisos and their names. And then he starts talking. And then Duthalis puts up a finger and basically tries to stop him, and then turns to you and says, you're forbidden to use your weapons. You are forbidden to destroy the peace of the city. You're forbidden to talk to the Basileus. And then he looks at Siobhan. You're forbidden to use any of your forces that do not help people. If you want to heal someone, you have to talk to Aglaya the Fourth first. And she looks at him. Aglaya the Fourth? She's the matriarch of the local church. She is one of the most holy women in this land.
I said, as long no one attacks us, I will not use my weapons.
He looks at you and then he turns around and gives a broad smile and just nods and basically says Endaxi, which means that everything's fine. And he doesn't even give the long spiel of if nobody attacks us, everything's fine, but just, yeah, they accept. And then you leave, and then he says, all right, we will go to the Theatron because you need to see the performance. But on the way, we will walk past a very important part of the city as well. It's the Eudokia cloister. That is where all the nuns live. Well, I mean, unless of course they're in the mountains fighting. It could be that it's pretty empty today. I don't know. But there is also Aglaya the Fourth. So if you need her to give you dispensation for using your powers, you might just as well know where to find her. I am told that she is very old, at least 70.
Let's go, lead the way.
The monastery, the cloister, the nunnery, whatever you want to call it, has 3 stories. It's huge. They have all of these arches, so basically it looks really lovely. And you see those nuns, and there seem to be, you can tell there are 3 different types. They all wear very long tunics. Some of them are absolutely white, and they have the symbol of the Nea Dea on it. And the other ones have tunics, but they some of them are black, and then you have the ones that actually wear plate armor.
Okay.
On their tunics. So it's like scale mail. And so he says, the ones with the plate armor, that's the sword sisters. The ones with the white are the ward sisters. And the ones with the black, they are the ones that look after the sick. The ward sisters are the ones that basically preach. Aglaya would be one of them, but she is the most holy one. And basically you go inside, and one of the word sisters comes to you, and she greets you, and Dutalis briefly explains that Siobhan is also a priestess, and she would like dispensation. And the sister introduces herself as Sophronia, and says, that is fine. She actually speaks Albi. It depends on what she can do. I'm afraid that Mother Superior is unable to see visitors today, but I can give dispensation. What is it that you can do? And this is something that she doesn't really like talking about, and you even don't know what she can do beyond the healing. And she basically looks from left to right, and the word sister says, "Would you like to step inside there?" And she points to a little, it's like a confessional in a Catholic church, and the two of them walk inside, and it seems like Siobhan can do many things, because you wait for 15 minutes until she comes out again.
Okay.
And then the word sister says, "I give you dispensation in front of these witnesses to do what your goddess grants you. Do not harm anyone. May the god be with you. May the goddess be with you."
Aisling would just thank and slightly nod her head.
And then you leave.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to the theatron. And the theatron is now getting busy. People are filing in. And Dutalis says, "I'm going to get tickets. Do you have money?"
Not much, but a tiny. Depends on how expensive.
Oh, we're gonna get the cheap seats at the back. You will still see. The acoustics are great.
But the question is, what is cheap seats?
2 silver for 4.
Let me see. She didn't have that much.
You still have 9.
Okay. Yeah, they will pay because they're curious.
So you go inside and you see something that you've never seen before. You see an amphitheater. It is huge. It is made completely from stone. The half ring. Yes, you have seen stages before in inns, but this doesn't compare.
Okay, so it's giant compared to that, clearly.
It is not only giant, it is raised a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And behind the stage, you see a wooden bag. You see ropes from above, and at the moment they're still obviously working on them, so stuff moves around, so they can lower people down, they can lower things down, they can move the bag. And he basically says, "We're over there," and he points to a row, and you sit down, and he says, "So this is how this works. There are going to be 3 plays. One is going to be a satyr or yakros play. That is going to be funny. And then there are going to be 2 tragedies following. Each will last about 60 minutes. Or, as we say, 1 hora. Horologion. And there's going to be a break between each one.
Okay.
I can tell you this is going to be very funny. The first one. The other ones are going to be very tragic."
Well, then let's find our places and see what comes out of it.
And then basically, as I said before, when it gets dark really quickly. As soon as it gets dark, lamps are lit, and then and there's a hush. Everyone is really quiet, although there are hundreds and hundreds of people. As soon as there's a little gong-like sound, and then everybody falls silent. And then one person steps out, and what you notice is that they have lighting that they somehow manage to direct on the stage. Because everything is plunged in darkness except for where this person is standing.
Yep.
And the person that is standing there, you can easily tell it's a man, but he's wearing a mask. And the mask is the mask of a person where the mouth is like completely unmoved, so it's neither down nor up, but it's straight.
Yep.
And he starts talking in Frisean, obviously. And you don't know what he says, but everybody starts clapping. Then he walks away again. And out come 5 people, also wearing masks, again with a straight mouth. And they stand at the back. And they start singing. It's a little bit weird. Because you are used to singing as well, but this is it sounds monotonous. But it seems like they're following a certain rhythm, you can tell, because you can sing. You're not very good at it, but you can sing, and you know a little bit about music. You're not very good at dancing, but you can do that too. So it seems like it's got stanzas, and they're probably telling a story through song, which you are familiar with, because that's something that you guys would do at home as well. But This is very monotonous. And then out steps one more person, and this one has a smiling face and is wearing a skirt, but it's definitely a man as well.
Okay.
They start talking at a very high kind of like fake female voice. And out steps another man, this time dressed as a man, also with a smiley face, and the two of them are having a dialogue, and then the choir is doing something. Then they walk out again, come back wearing different masks, and so the whole thing goes on for 60 minutes. And everybody's laughing, so it seems to be really funny. And Dutalis says, "Oh, this could be very interesting, because he's comparing the basileus to a frog in a pond, and everybody is trying to get rid of the frog, and they're trying to get rid of the water and hope that the frog will jump away. It could be that this is going to end really quickly." And soon enough, the militia walk in, and they basically arrest everyone. People are kind of like looking at each other, and then somebody steps forward and says, Andres Polites, and basically gives a speech, and then Vitalis translates. Well, what he's saying is, citizens, no politics on the stage. And then in walks another man, not wearing any masks, and he's giving a speech, and he says, oh, they're gonna put on the 2 tragedies now, but it's gonna be a different troupe. It's gonna be one from here. This one was a traveling troupe, so this should be funny. So, same thing, but this time round, everybody's wearing a mask with a sad face, and you can see that people actually are very moved by whatever is going on the stage, because people cry. And then after 2 hours, it ends and everybody files out. And you get the feeling that if you had understood what this was about, you might have enjoyed it.
Yeah, this way, I think at least, I don't know how it's with Siobhan, but Aisling is probably like zoning out. She's not by any means really meditating, but just like...
Yeah.
It's more just like noises around her now.
Yeah.
She's not even trying to focus.
And as you walk home, it's now quite late. Siobhan whispers to you, you know what? I'm pretty sure it was good, but that singing, I don't know.
It was a bit weird.
And I really wonder what was going on, because everybody started crying at the same moment. I'll ask them tomorrow to give me a rundown of the story.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but these masks as well, it's all a bit weird, isn't it?
And then Dutalis heard the last thing, and he says, "Do you know the secret?" they need to have masks because there are only 2 people. The troupe consists of 5 people in the choir and then 2 more. That is all. But in the old days, there was only the one.
Okay.
And this person would have played all the roles.
And for Aisling still with the mask and so on, it's weird.
It is very weird.
You want to see the face fully with full emotion and everything, and everything is quite different here, so why not that as well?
But you have to remember the name of the first play. The next time they put it on somewhere, make sure you catch it. It's called Hoi Batra Hoi, the frogs.
The frogs. Okay.
It was very funny.
I hope so for you guys, that it was entertaining.
And the second one, it was very sad.
Well, I've seen a few people cry.
It is about, again, it is very political, but it's more one you would not put on in Kroisos. It is about a daughter, a girl whose brother was killed and her father as well, and she's trying to bury them. But the Archon forbids it, and she does it anyway, because the gods command her. So she does her duty to the gods, and then she is killed by the Archon of the place for it.
That is not a nice story.
It is a tragedy.
Why would you make a play out of?
It teaches one thing and one thing only. Give unto the gods what is theirs. Do not listen to the authorities of this world, because at least the gods smile upon her favorably, even in death. Interestingly enough, Siobhan is very pensive and thinks, and you can tell that she really thinks about this.
Well, Aisling just basically accepts it, but it's still weird in her mind because stories is more for entertaining, at least on a stage. That's what she knows. It's for entertaining people, either to have like adventurous, like these moments, or laughing moments. But I highly doubt that in an inn or so you would never tell something that would make people cry. The innkeeper would kick you out quicker than you can if you try to do that kind of entertaining. So it's just a bit weird for her. Why should I pay a price to sit there and someone tell me a very, very sad story that makes some people cry? It's just a very weird concept in her mind.
Yeah, it is.
But, it was something, and our friends seem to have enjoyed it.
They did. Yes, they also cried at the appropriate places, and they laughed at the appropriate places in the first one. So apparently it is... but what you glean from the conversation is also that these are stories that, except for the one with the frogs, which seems to be new, this one is very old, and it's a legend that has been put into a play, and every child in Chrysia has heard this story of this woman and burying her father and her brother and then being murdered for it. So it seems to be part of the Chrysian psyche. Okay. Also, it deals with the old gods. So this is not the Nea Dea, this is the old gods that give this command.
Yep.
And so basically you arrive and then he says, we've also got some food. So you can just go and get it for you. And do you get some food?
Yeah, definitely.
So it is, again, the ubiquitous white bread, olives, some of this goat's cheese, and goat's meat with rosemary.
We know that. It's tasting yummy.
It is very, I mean, again, it seems to be poor people's fare. Although as food goes, this is more meat than you would be used to. So because you've had meat every day, and it seems like even poor people have meat every day. So maybe this is just because they can't grow as much because it's so arid and so hot that they just have endless flocks of goats that can also basically live in this very arid place where they can eat off these, like, those thorn bushes.
Yep.
So it seems like they have plenty of those. And there is always, what you also saw, hares everywhere.
Okay.
Yep. And then, do you want to do anything else? Do you want to go for a stroll in the city after nightfall, or do you want to go to bed?
I think we had... Well, the day was not too crazy long, but we kind of got woken up quite early.
You did, yes.
So I think Aisling would at least like to go to sleep. Not sure what Siobhan would fancy.
Then make a mention Kenntnis. Do you have this by now? Or just roll a d20?
Let me see. Mention Kenntnis. I have a little bit, not much. No.
What did you roll in total?
I rolled, if I understand it right, a 15.
Okay,
I
yeah.
still have no idea, because it doesn't really show what you rolled, which is a little bit annoying.
Yeah, it
Or
basically
I'm too
says
stupid to read
W20
it.
plus 8, and I find that, so basically it says...
Ah, okay, so that's what
Yeah.
I rolled, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was definitely much over, so...
Yeah, but the thing is, you do know her very well. So at a 15, you do know. She is very unquiet. There is lots going on in her head, and she's... if she could, she would pace, but there isn't enough space. So she's basically lying on her back and, doing this with her fingers. And you can see on her face that she's going through, her mind is in overdrive. She's thinking hard.
I think Aisling next to her would be just quietly laying in bed, just more feeling how not calm her friend is. She would just peek over, and then she would just, with like a quick motion, just sit up. Do you want to go outside? Or is more information and more things to see even worse?
Are you not? I mean, this is just so exciting. I can't contain myself. Everything is new. And half the things that we saw today I didn't even understand. I have no idea how this horologion works. I didn't understand what was going on in those plays, but it looked intriguing. So, how can you be so calm?
I'm just processing in another way than you are, as it seems. I had my fair share of people and noise and things. But we can go outside. You can try to draw the timekeeping place. As I said, I could give it a try as well. Maybe together we can figure something out that looks halfway decent.
She sits down, takes out a piece of parchment. No, because you bought the paper version. You didn't take the parchment because it was too expensive. She licks her pen and she puts it into the ink, and she starts.
The idea was to go there and draw there
Oh,
when you see it.
Okay.
Not so from mine, but really going there.
So you take the stuff, you go to the horologion this time round. Let's see. Oh yes, she rolled a 28. She on survival, she finds the way easily. And you get to the horologion, which even after dark is open. And there are lamps. There are lamps in it, so it's lit. And you can now see actually that the indicator that says, well, where you see the hour is now pointing at 11, so 23. Yeah, so it has moved. You can remember it has moved.
Definitely should sleep. Holy hell, 23.
Just 1 hour, half an hour.
Start drawing.
She sits down, she starts drawing. Would that be dexterity?
Probably.
Okay. She has a dexterity of 81, which is very good. She rolled a 98. You have no idea what she's drawing, but it doesn't look anything like what's surrounding you.
After she finished, I will pull over the book and I will try to do a drawing of on my own. So Geschicklichkeit, right? GS?
GS ist GW Gewandtheit. Ach, oder ist es Geschicklichkeit? Well, she would have failed anyway. So yeah, GS is Gewandtheit, Körper. I think maybe GS is dexterity and GW is more like...
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think we've stumbled over this before.
Yeah, we stumbled over
Take whichever
that
is
before.
better for you.
Well, it's just 6 points different, so let's pick GV. And I have a success. I rolled a 2.
Oh wow. That is a
Oh. Yes.
She looks at you. You make a perfect drawing of your surroundings. She looks at you and she says, "Now, isn't that a dark horse?"
As I said, I'm not a drawer, but it turned out okay.
Aisling, this is perfect. And you know it.
Again, I'm not used to drawing. It's just a lucky...
Then she leans in and she whispers in your ear, "No, it's the goddess."
Sure. Okay, let's turn it around. I am very good at drawing. The gods have nothing to do with that.
She points at you and she says, "You know, we talked about this. Sometimes you just have to learn how to accept a compliment. You're very good at drawing."
Well, let's see next time.
Let's see next time.
But now Siobhan has a very nice drawing with her notes.
She, you can see that she actually, she brought the little, it looks like a salt cellar. They have like this little dust thing in it that you put over the ink to make it dry immediately. And she does it very reverently, and then she waits, and you can see that she's kind of like counting in her head, and then she breathes on it to get rid of it, to get rid of the excess, and then she says, "You know what? I don't even have to write anything anymore. When we're back, I won't talk about what we've seen. You will show your drawings. I won't be needed at all. You can do it."
And please write down, because I will not remember how this place is called, or where it was, or anything. So please write things with that.
Scatterbrain.
Well, my brain just decides other things are more important.
Yeah. Like training horses when you should be in school.
Yep. How best to set up a snare to catch rabbit.
Instead of being in school.
Well, the one is useful for survival. The other one is school.
I think the mother would have been so impressed if you'd shown her your drawing skills.
I highly doubt it, because it's not useful.
This
It's
is
just
going to give
pretty.
a lot of joy to a lot of people. It's giving joy to me. If that's not useful, I don't know what is.
I'm happy that it brings you joy, but it's just arty things. I'm not an artist, I'm a fighter.
Yep.
I'm quite happy that I can draw a map if I have to, so we can plan on where to storm, where to enter, and where to flee if needed, but
Yeah. She knows that she's not getting anywhere fast with you on this one.
I think in between, while we waited for everything to dry, Aisling would have stared at like time measurement just to see if it's moving or just to get the idea on,
Yeah, it has
okay,
moved.
now we are getting closer to 24 or to
Yeah.
0, however.
24.
It's getting really late. She will. Is this open?
You mean the
Or does it
building?
have a roof? Yeah.
It does have a roof, yes.
Okay. Should we?
But it's a tower. You could. There's
No, she doesn't want to go up. It would just be, if it would be outside, she would not look at the clock, but rather at the moon to have an idea on how late it is.
You could easily step outside and look at the moon.
She will wait until Siobhan is ready.
Well, Siobhan
Everything
is
is
ready.
dried up.
She's holding it to her chest.
Then let's get some sleep because it's late. We should have slept hours ago. You will be feeling horrible tomorrow morning when the sun goes up and we are woken.
Yes, Mum.
And Ashing would just like pat her on the shoulder and just nicely shove in the direction of our
Yeah, she is.
sleeping place.
It takes a lot of shoving because she is basically even on her way back. On your way back, she's looking left, right, and center. But you finally manage to get her into bed. And I'm not tired. I'm not like this nap attack thing happening, and she just falls asleep.
Great, and I'm quite sure Aisling is now staring at the ceiling, now being awake because she passed the point of being tired, and she's like, great.
It's a nice ceiling.
No, it's a nice ceiling. She will still close eyes, and she will probably think about how it was outside and how this is all done, and that crossing could use that a lot, and other parts of Alba as well. And then over that, I think she will fall asleep.
You fall asleep, and yeah, you wake up the next morning, and it is sunny again, and it is already a little bit warm. In the room. Siobhan is still sleeping, snoring lightly. Do you wake her up?
No, I will just slowly get up and see if I can. Oh, if I open the water tap, it will make noise again. She will be awake. I will still try to be quiet, but stand up and maybe step outside.
Yeah, you're on the first floor of the 2-story building.
And I would go down to have a look just to peek how Storm and my brain, the
Percy.
other horse is doing. Percy.
Percy! Come on, how can you forget his name?
I think, Percy was there, but it sounded completely wrong for the place we are.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So
basically the 2 horses look at you.
Yeah.
Expectantly. Did you bring an apple?
No.
You're not in their good books. They look at each other and they ignore you.
I will give them a little bit of straw. I will give them a bit of fresh water, and I will have a brush and just brush them and make sure they are clean and fine.
Yeah,
maybe some scritches behind the ears.
They accept the scritches and the brushing, but the fact that you didn't bring an apple, nope. You're not in their good books today. It's a good thing that you won't be needing them today. They're not talking to you.
Yeah, it's not that bad. She will in a low voice will talk to them as well, that tomorrow we will be on the roads again, and this is a very weird place, and she knows it's very loud.
It is loud.
Buzzing.
Yeah.
And after spending some time there, she would carefully go back to the rooms and try to be sneaky, open the door and see if Siobhan is still sleeping.
Siobhan is already awake. She has obviously washed. She is now braiding her hair.
Mm-hmm.
And she turns around. Oh, it's you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where have you been?
With Storm and Percy.
When did you get up?
Well, a bit ago. It was still
You should
already,
have woken me.
but you were sleeping.
Yeah,
We
but I
have
mean,
no- We have no plans today. We are not in a rush to leave.
yeah, but you were looking after the horses. I could have helped.
Well, you can clean and prepare them tomorrow if you want to.
Yeah. You wake me tomorrow if I don't wake up by myself.
Well, tomorrow I will definitely wake you because we will need to get on the road as early as possible, probably.
Don't frown at me like that.
Ashling will just shrug and she will go towards the washing place because now she definitely needs a wash after being in the stables. So she will wash and clean up.
I'll organize some food.
That would be good.
And you go downstairs. She goes downstairs, presumably. Do you then, after a while, follow when you're done?
Yeah, I will follow after I'm done.
You can now see that the entrance, that's where the tables are, and it's now pretty full. There are lots of people, but you can see her wave.
I will like squeeze through, like excuse me, and will join Siobhan.
I mean, all the time people look at you because you are so tall, and with your eye patch, you are a very imposing figure. You
I
can't
will
help
try
it.
to ignore that.
Are you actually wearing your sword?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. She says, I spoke to the landlord. Skunidas and Ditalis have gone to the local monastery for the day. They have left word that they will meet us here tonight for food, and then tomorrow, if it's all right with us, we could leave. And I said that this was fine, but we can talk to them tonight as well.
Yeah, but I think
They've also left information, in case we want to see some of the they call them albioi. So people from Alba, there is a place that they go to for lunch and food and drink, and he says that if we're interested, and he's given me directions.
that sounds like a nice place at least to have a look and see if the people are really from Alba.
Good. And the two of you have breakfast, and then you go out. And then what you also notice is suddenly there is loud noise from different bells from it seems like everywhere in the city. And some of the people who are here are obviously real pilgrims because they all get up and file out.
Okay,
Do you think this is mass?
maybe
Should we go?
if you want to.
Why not? Come on, this is gonna be interesting.
It will not hurt, hopefully. And yeah, she will follow.
She pokes you in the ribs with her finger.
Ouch.
Stop being so grumpy.
Stop hurting me.
Poke.
I'm very fragile. Pointing at my eye patch.
Yes, and whose fault was that anyway?
Well, not yours.
Yeah. She basically then hooks her arm under yours and says, let's go. Let's see what this Nea Dea has to say to us.
Yeah, with a smile and a relaxed step, Aisling will let herself a little bit like be pulled towards, and she will follow Siobhan.
And you go to the Eudokia cloister, basically, which seems to be the biggest church, and it's huge, and people are filing in. You can go inside. And now you're going to the part that you didn't see yesterday, because yesterday you were there to meet with one of the word sisters to get dispensation. The church looks very much like the monastery, only built by humans, and it's huge. And you also see again the icons. You see the gilded frames and everything, and there's gold all over. So Crusea means land of gold, and it is true. Everything is made of gold. And then you have you see the nuns filing in, and they basically there is like 3 groups, like the sword sisters, the word sisters, and then the ones that basically wear black. They don't seem to have a name. And then they start singing as well. So it's very much like the monks singing, but of course female voices. And then at the altar, you see again the statue of this very stern-looking woman, but this time, of course, completely golden. And then out steps a woman, like in very... She's wearing also the nun's garb, but it's like she has a wimple, so you only really see her face. Everything is covered, so except for her eyes and her mouth. And you can see that this is an old person because she's walking kind of like a little bit more slowly. And then she steps up to the altar, and then everyone falls silent, and then she says something. But her voice is really strong. And it's also the acoustics, even at the back, kind of people will definitely be able to hear what she's saying. And she is speaking for a good 20 minutes with a very strong voice. You can tell it's a little bit old, but it's still strong. And then there is singing again, and then some of the nuns get up. And they walk around, and they have a little bowl in front of them where they basically then step up to everybody, and they dip their finger in, and then they put it between the eyebrows of each person who's there. So a little bit like the ceremony that you did for solstice, but there it was like a burning basically it was oak. That had been in the fire, and basically now coal. She comes to you. What do you do? She says something in Chrysaean that you really don't understand.
I will just smile and do nothing.
She puts her finger into the bowl, and then she puts it between her eyebrows. Your eyebrows, sorry, not hers.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. You are still standing. Nobody has struck you down.
No, and the others around me are still standing as well, so she will just, like, endure it. I guess Siobhan probably as well.
Yeah. And then, after this is done, the nuns sing more, and then everybody leaves. I have to hand it to them. The singing, much nicer than our... I mean, we don't sing. We should really introduce singing. That was great.
When we are outside, Aisling would be like, does this go off? And she would try to probably smear it around.
It's just water.
Oh, I thought it was with color.
No. It's actually just water. But it, sorry, I should have made that more. It's like holy water.
I think my brain just immediately went to the India idea.
That's a good point.
That's why
that is a good point. But it was actually just water.
Yeah, if it's just water, then never mind. This never happened. Then should we just have a stroll through the city?
Yes, you stroll through the city, and now you can roll on Wahrnehmung.
Let's see. Wahrnehmung. Nope.
Okay, that is problematic, isn't it? And then you see nothing. No. And you keep walking, and I mean, it is super impressive. You get to a really big house again. It's one of those huge buildings, and you see lots of horses being led inside. So there is basically, again, the stairs that seems to be where the people go, and then next to it there is like 2 very huge doors where they're leading in horses. Do you look?
Clearly I will look.
And there you actually see 2 men that are wearing kilts.
She will lean in towards Siobhan. Well, they look like from home.
Yes, they
If they have
Should-
kills based on the color, do I have a rough idea which clan?
You would say it's Clan Ranald, the people who took over your clan lands.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, you helped them.
But still, Aisling is probably not too welcome.
The question is, do
Maybe.
they know you? Because you don't know how long they've been there.
Yeah. Aisling is still hesitant.
I will talk to them. Just you wait here. And Siobhan walks over to them. She's of course wearing her Varna's dress, and they notice exactly who she is, and they greet her very deferentially.
Aisling will turn a little bit to the side so that at least her eye patch side is not seen as easily.
And she talks to them, and then she comes back and she says, "That is a stadion. They do horse racing."
Horse racing?
Yes, there are chariots that are put onto the horses, and then the horses run around. There's a charioteer in it, and whoever is fastest wins.
The question is, would we have horse races back home? I know we are good with horses. That's
I would
definitely
say
something we can do.
probably not with chariots, but I would imagine that you do have some kind of sport that is based on horses. Probably steeplechase, where people just basically try to run quickly from one place to the next. Point-to-point races, definitely. And possibly even hunting on horseback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, well, that's a nice way to earn a living.
They don't race. They basically just look after some of the horses because they belong to their master.
Okay. The master is also from Alba.
No, he's local. They are Albioi. They're those mercenaries. Yeah, or some of them.
So being paid.
They've asked me if they could buy me something if I just read mass for them. I would love to.
Go
They
on.
don't have a priest of Varna here.
I will wait.
We will have to go to their place. It's the tavern that I was telling you about.
We wanted to go there anyhow, so
Yeah, but can you spare the time? You don't have to come or wait.
I have nothing planned. The only plan is to go to bed tonight. Be fresh and rested tomorrow.
I think we can do that. We will
And
be
the
able
plan
to.
is not to get into a fight and not to use my weapons. Also plan for today.
Yeah.
Not plan.
She smiles at you and she kind of goes, "Yeah, you're going to a tavern where there's lots of people from Alba. There will be a lot of drinking going on, a lot of whiskey and a lot of... Yeah, surely there won't be any tavern brawl there."
Well, arm wrestling maybe, but that's not using weapons. I don't think that will cause problems.
Well, unless it's you, because you told me that you were a weapon. So let's go. And she basically drags you towards the tavern. I know where it is. It's actually back there. And you get to the tavern.
Yeah.
And it looks a lot like home. The house from the outside is still like a Crisean house, so it's basically whitewashed and everything. But on the inside, somebody has put up a couple of, clan symbols. You see the symbol of the clan that has like the two hamsters holding like the crest. Still can't get over that.
I love it so much.
I love
so
it too.
Intimidating.
Like, yeah.
So
the two
intimidating.
hamsters.
The two hamsters.
And
I'm afraid.
And you walk inside and you see lots of people that look a lot like you, very tall, very strong. But you also see a very small person. They have their own halfling.
Oh.
Because halflings are the other humanoid race that live in Alba that you know of. They are not magical.
No.
And he is obviously telling a story. And there are like 6 people. So he's sitting. They put a little stool on top of one of the tables, and he's sitting there, and he's telling this story. And are you listening?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely curious. Although while listening, I would also have a look around, just curiously, if with all the signs basically of the clans, she guesses hers will not be there, but she's definitely curious to just scan and see.
There are some Clan Donalds.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I mean, Macturon is the biggest clan, and there's plenty of them, but there are also a couple of Donalds there.
Donalds as well. Okay.
But when you just give a quick glance, you don't recognize any of them. And you hear this halfling, and he's telling a story about how he has been traveling all over Chrysea, and he's written a book. And he's just basically telling them what he has seen. And there is this one place south of here in the mountains, and you will not believe what I saw there. And if you ever go there, you have to check it out because it's really special. There is a huge skeleton of a dragon. I mean, normally I would say I slew the dragon myself, but this one has been dead for thousands of years, I'm sure, and it is not easy to find because it's not on the road. It's you have to go a little ways away. I would say probably maybe half a day's travel, but it's really worth checking out. I paced it myself, and it is 18 paces long, and that is without the tail.
With a raised eyebrow, Aisling will peek if Siobhan is listening in as well.
Yeah, she is listening. She is hanging on every word, and she already. And then she turns to you and she says, "I mean, half a day. I'm pretty sure we can spare half a day. I would really like to see the dragon." It's a dragon. Okay, it's dead, but still.
Well, let's see if we can grab him in a quiet moment and he can give us a bit more direction, if he's willing to.
She looks at you and she says, "He's a halfling. Of course he's willing to tell you the story again and again and again, and it will be very difficult to stop him once he gets started." And then he also tells you that he went as far as the source of the river Eufrosune, which is actually the river, they would have told you this, that Nicostria lies on. And that he saw the nymph. She's real. She lives there, I can tell you. And she's the most beautiful woman you will ever set eyes on. And no mistake. And she spoke to me.
Okay. Insight check. No, I don't know him, so an Aisling is not good in reading people, so.
Why? What would you like to know?
Well, if he's basically making up a story, or if he's telling the truth, because it's getting more and more fantastical with everything he's telling. So it's like.
Other people are also saying this. Well, now you're telling a tall tale. What do you mean I'm telling a tall tale? And he gets up, and he's still not much taller than the Albi that are sitting around him. Of course I'm not telling you a tall tale. Of course I saw her, and she is beautiful.
I rolled mention Kentness, and I totally failed, so nope.
But he is absolutely convinced, and people are now beginning to laugh. And then he basically says, all right, I know when I'm beaten, and this is not the party where I want to tell any more stories. You didn't believe me this time round, I will not. And he jumps off the table and basically walks around like in mock exasperation and sits down at the back. And Siobhan's like, now is a good time.
Yeah. Could I go to the bar and grab an ale or something to drink?
Yeah, there is beer. Like
Okay.
really real Alba beer.
Then I would grab 2 and would sit down at the table with
2
the
copper.
halfling. I will pay the 2 copper. How much copper is a silver? I would definitely need
1
to
copper
contract.
it is just, I have to do this in my head every single time. It's 10 coppers are 1 silver, 10 silver are 1 gold. In
Okay,
Alba.
so
Yeah.
so wait. So I subtract 1 and do 10. And you said 2 copper?
Yeah.
Okay. Done. Noted. Yeah, I would sit down at the table, like opposite of him, and would place the ale and like push it over to him, or the beer. Good evening, or afternoon. Good day.
Good afternoon.
No, good day would be probably the best
Good day. Ah, what brings you here? You're very far from home. And he smiles at you.
Well,
Samson Harbuston, and he stretches out his hands. Of the Harbustons, you've probably heard of my family.
Did I? Is the
No.
question. Probably not. She would just stretch out her hand, shake it. Ashley.
He looks at you. He wants you to know your clan.
She's not telling the clan. She's also not wearing anything clan related.
Okay.
Because officially she's not part of the clan anymore.
That which is highly unusual. So, and then he basically realizes, but before this gets any more awkward, Siobhan steps in and says, "Siobhan, priestess of the goddess Vana," and he bows and he shakes her hand and he says, "It is very nice to meet you too. So, what brings you to Chrysaea? Are you like me and my family, adventurers? I have a cousin. He's gone to Kantai Pan, or so they say. But did he make it? Who knows? But I've written a book, and I'm just waiting for him to send me his. And I have another cousin. She went to Rawindra, or so they say."
We are just curious because we just ran into you telling the story of you found a dragon skeleton?
Yes, I did, and it is a huge dragon, and it's in the mountains south of here. So basically, on your, I was on my way to Monofrastos when I had to cross the mountains, and there it was. I mean, I got lost. Well, I didn't really get lost. I was looking for mushrooms. I mean, I love mushrooms. Don't you love mushrooms?
Mushrooms are lovely addition to a meal, always.
Which reminds me, I am hungry. Landlord, I am hungry. Feed me.
Ashley would just smile and sip a little bit more beer. And do you have any tips on where we should go away from the road to see the...
How much is it worth for you? I could draw you a map. I'm very good at drawing, or so they say.
Well, probably can't beat me in drawing, but yeah, it's okay.
Spoken like a true Alba woman. It's a contest for everybody. Let me show you. And he basically gets out a piece of paper and starts drawing. And he draws you a map, and then he writes Kuno Kefalen. That is the name of the mountain range. It actually means head of the dog. I have no idea why they call it that, but that's what it's called.
We can ask our travel companions. Maybe they know. Head of the dog. They have funny names here.
Yes.
We are still trying to figure out how this timekeeping thing is working. That's a weird thing.
You've been to the Horologion, have you?
Yeah, it's
one of
there.
the 7 wonders of the world, or so they say.
Well, it's definitely a wonder because we measure time quite well, and I have no idea why 24 hours. This is such a weird number.
Oh, you see, they want to be very precise. It's all to do with the old gods.
Yeah, it was so we heard. Well,
You see, they have very precise calendars, and then every so often they add more days to the year just to make sure that nothing goes wrong. And I can tell you one thing for nothing. When it comes to the holy days and their observance, it is unbelievable. There is the story about the Monofrastians that they were going to go to war because there was an invasion. That was way before the Sea Masters, or so they say. But they were one day late. Why were they one day late? Because they still had to celebrate the day of the Artemis Orthia. But the goddess rewarded them, because although they were late, so was the enemy. So the enemy did not appear at the appointed time. So the Monofrastians, although they were one day late, they were still in time, and they met the enemy head on, and Orthia led the attack, and they all perished. Well, the enemies, I mean. Or so they say. I mean, sometimes, the Chryseans, unlike me, they like to tell tall tales. They talk a lot, and food comes, and then he says, very good. And he starts eating. But have I told you the story of the stranded ship? Well, and he doesn't even, you don't even get to say yes or no. And he tells you that to the west of here, there is another mountain range. It's called the Centaurion. Have I told you about the Centaurs? I think not. Well, listen here. There are beasts there. They are half man, half horse, and they live in the mountains, and every so often they just raid the villages and they just abduct all the daughters. Or so they say. I still haven't seen this myself, but I intend to find out one of these days. Anyway, in the Centaurion there is a ship. Now the Centaurion is a really huge mountain range, very tall, not as tall as the Nyktoros, but still. And one day on my travels I came across a ship in the middle of the mountain range, on top of the mountain. Can you imagine? I guess you can't, because the question is, how did it get there?
How did it get there? Yeah.
Well, the story is that during the Kyklobachea, so basically there are Kyklopes. Those are huge giants, and they have like one eye only in the middle of their forehead, and they were fighting. So, but they were also basically. They are huge. So one of them was so enraged by his enemies that he took 3 steps to go to the sea. They only have to take very few steps to get to the sea, And then he lifted one of those huge triremes and he just hurled it into the Centaurion, or so they say. And there it landed, and it smashed his enemy's head. I didn't see the skeleton of the Kyklops, but I did see the ship. Very impressive. It was a very long time ago, so all the wood is now basically fossilized and it's now stone. But you can still tell it's a ship.
That's interesting. Do you know about the giant spiders back in the mountains?
Yeah, but they are a lot less big than a Kyklops. You trust me, you don't want to meet one of those. The spiders are just, they can poison you and you can die. So
yeah,
the best idea is not to go into any caves.
Well,
yeah.
When stones are coming down, you have the choice to die by stone or by spider. Well,
I can tell you I have survived so many avalanches and so many earthquakes in the mountains. I'm still standing. I'm a Habastan. Nothing ever destroys my family. Or so they say.
Well, you're small and nimble, so I can imagine you being quick and finding.
He looks at you and he looks very proud.
Place to be safe.
But what brings you here? I keep talking and you never ever get a word in edgeways. Tell me all about yourselves. Where are you from? Where are you going?
We are just moving forward to Monofrastos is our next stop. We're just traveling. As you call it, adventuring?
Yes, that is a very good adventure. But why Monofrastos? Why not go to Kroisos? Kroisos is even bigger than Nikostria. It is the heart of Chrysaea, the capital city. Well, if there was a capital, this would be it. But it is so much bigger than even Nikostria. Very interesting.
Oh, we have friends who, well, travel companions, I would say, that are going that way. They are searching for like a holy man. What's this? Askedos?
Askedos, yes. Askedos Polystratus.
And
Ah.
it should be between the cities as far as I understood. So
And
we go with them a little bit because they're teaching us about the ways and the language of the land.
yes, it is very interesting. You know, they are so interested. Have you ever been to the Teatron?
Yes.
Now, that is something that we don't have in Alba, isn't it? I can tell you some of the stories will break your heart. Others are very funny.
Well, I don't think it would work back home.
No, it would not work back home. But my stories work back home. And one of these days, well, maybe in about 5 to 6 years, when I've seen everything, I still need to go to Thalassa because, you know, that's the demon capital. Also, they say, but I still haven't been able to get there. But,
You
you know,
you really want to go there? Demon Capital sounds like a place where you will not return in one piece.
I'm a Harbustin.
I don't think a demon
My
cares.
cousin has gone as far as Rawindra, and my other cousin is in Kantai Pan for all I know. So I should be able to go to Thalassa. I cannot let the family name down.
Well,
Every Harbustin needs to achieve something very important in their lives.
but you came here. You have amazing stories you can
So
tell back
do
home.
you. I mean, you came here as well. Going to Chrysaea from Alaba isn't really that big a deal.
Well, you've seen much more than we have, so...
But you're only here how long? I've traveled for 3 years. More like 3 weeks.
We did not really leave the path. We just traveled here and that's it. So you made stops in between and turns. So
Yes, and I spent half a year in a cloister with the monks reading.
up in the mountains.
Yes.
Oh, we've been there. Probably. Is it
Maybe.
on the way back from? They ring the bells so early in the morning, so loudly and annoyingly.
At the 3rd hour.
Yeah, it was surprising.
Yes, they sleep very little. You get used to it after a while.
Okay. What do you do the whole day when you're stuck up there? For that long? Half a year?
Well, I read. They pray. They pray. They sing. They do a lot of singing too.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very peaceful. And unlike them, I was allowed to leave the cloister, so I did, and I went for walks. That's where I met the spiders. But you know what is even worse than the spiders? Because you just don't go to the caves? Bears. They've got bears. And I can tell you, one of those bears nearly got me, and I'm not telling you a tall tale.
Bears are by far not as bad as spiders.
This one was. It bit me.
That was then a very hungry bear.
Are you saying I'm not more than a mouthful for a bear? I am one of the best specimens of halflings you will ever find.
Well, the bear definitely thought you were a good snack to have.
Snack. I am a full meal. He's really just 1 meter tall or something and very, very slim.
It depends on how big the bear was.
He was only a youngling. That's why I got away.
Then it's a full meal for sure, but, well, he had a good taste, as it seems.
He smiles. Yes. But I had been collecting mushrooms. Maybe that's what turned him on, because he smelled them.
Bears are always hungry. Just give them food and they leave you alone.
Is that so? Do you have a story around that?
Definitely. Just feed a bear and slowly walk away. Not hectic moves. Don't run.
Well, I was running. Maybe that was my mistake. You see...
That's definitely a mistake. If you ever see a bear again, throw food in their direction that smells best case nice, and then slowly back away. And usually they just leave you. They are just hungry. They're not manhunters.
I shall remember that. And he hands you the map. So basically, this is the road to from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And you follow this. This will take you. There is only one road that will take you to Monophrastos through the Kühne Kephalon.
Mm-hmm.
And here, around here, basically, and it's quite a detailed map. You can find it easily. There the path gets really narrow first, and there are 2 walls on either side of the mountain, basically rising up, and it is really dark because it's kind of like cut through the mountain in a way.
Mm-hmm.
They say that the Titans did it. Like, they say they did. I've never seen a Titan, but apparently they cut through the mountain to make it easier to get through, which does make sense. And then basically it opens up as the mountains recede, and that's where you take a left. You cannot really miss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
About half a day from there, you will see the dragon.
Thank you so much. Aisling is still thinking about what to give to him. Paper's expensive, wasn't it?
Very.
Asking for paper would be horrific. But he's giving us a piece of paper with a drawing on there. Well, we have not much to anything we can give. She would just pull out a copper and we'll push it over to him as a thank you. We don't have much to anything. I'm sorry.
Oh, that is quite all right. That is quite all right. But do me a favor. When you get back home, ask after my cousins, tell their stories. Tell the story of Samson Habastin, who on his own has been traveling Chrysaea for 3 years and who is going to go off to Thalassa to see the demon capital.
Maybe we will meet you there again. You never know.
It would be my honor. And then other Alabi come in and they basically know this guy and they, chat to him. They offer him food, they offer him drink. And then he talks to them and he tells the story of the dragon again and blah, blah, blah. This guy is a one-man show. I mean, forget about the theatron. He needs a stage.
He's the cliche of a bard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we will just probably look for a place to sit and have a meal ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have a good hearty meal, and then the 2 men, you recognize them, that you met at the stadion, come up to Siobhan, and they really kind of they realize that you're just finishing your meal, so they're kind of standing there. And then she motions them to come closer, and they say that they have basically prepared the back room, and if she was, and there are lots of people who would like to attend, so if she could maybe in half an hour, and she says, yes, I will get ready. And then she says, I don't know if you want to join us, feel free not to, but
well, I will be your bodyguard just to make sure that they don't have weird ideas.
And she basically smiles, and then she gets ready, so she goes to the bar. She needs some water, which she blesses, and then you go to the back room and she sets up everything, and then the men file in. It's really only men.
Okay.
And they sit down, and then she starts.
Aisling is like the person at the door, just going through who's allowed. No. She would just stand at the side. She will clearly still have a look of what type of guys are here, and also scanning the clans. I think she's quite curious which clans are around here. And we'll just enjoy the show.
She is very good at this, and she gets a +4 to this, so she rolls a 22. So it's a really good sermon, and you can tell as well that these people probably are really in need of spiritual guidance, because if you find this strange, they've lived here for, some of them may have lived here for years, and it is very strange.
Yeah.
And it is very different. So they are very happy to have somebody to tell them the story of their own gods and that kind of thing.
Especially their own gods, because here their gods are very weird and different.
Yeah, yours are weird already, but these are even weirder.
Hey, our gods are not weird.
Except that you don't
They're
like
not.
them.
They are not helpful, but compared to clearly the gods here, home is always better.
Home is always better. And they are very happy. They are very, very happy. And she blesses all of them. And then some of them want to speak to her kind of like in private, kind of like a confession thing. And she looks at you and she says, "Do we still have time?"
Take all the time you need.
And then she steps away with 3 or 4 of them, one after the other, and basically.
I think Aisling will look just for a space. She will sit somewhere in the tavern at the side in a corner, just drinking a beer, just waiting for Siobhan to be ready.
Yeah, and basically she goes through that, and we shall leave it there because it's 10 o'clock.
Yep.
We said we were going to finish at 10, so
Yep.
thank you very much for playing. I hope you enjoyed it a little and it wasn't too boring.
No, thank you for describing and making up this lovely city, and giving her a little bit of home-ish feels here, because I also suspect the food is like home food feeling like. So not yogurt and things like that, but more food we know from home.
And also no goats. Cheese or goat's milk or goat's meat. It's actually very little meat, but it's beef, you can tell.
Then definitely Aisling enjoys this little time out, even though she's always still a bit like scared that someone heard the story of.
Yeah.
Because especially with her eye patch and how she looks, she's quite well recognizable.
Easily recognizable, yeah.
Like a big fighter like I am without a clan is also like a big red flag. So she's just hoping that no one really asks her the questions that she doesn't want to answer. So, but she still enjoys it to be here.
Okay, so that's very good, because in the beginning it was tough. So yeah, brilliant.
She's warming to the place. I think she in the beginning, as scared as she was, she's warming up. It's weird. Weird will be the single summary line of this country. Everything is weird, but it's still interesting. And not everything is dangerous and horrible and. Whoa,
no, not everything.
Plumbing. Honestly,
they've got plumbing.
That's a lovely thing to have.
Yeah.
So that is really nice. So thank you for telling the story and describing everything. I hope everyone watching enjoys the ride. Let's see what happens next, because next we will move on and see if we can find the famous holy man that our travel companions is looking for.
Yes. We will see about that.
Let's see if we find them, and let's see if Aisling is brave enough to ask him if he has an idea about that on her neck.
We will see.
We will see. We will see.
Okay, then have a lovely rest of the evening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
O hi mina morviena, o hi mina korviena, o hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fojo, hi mi gondalan taches and trukuk mi, kerer oram falches a chan en a hukas mi, jev mi an eigus gran rukim, nach rechking tunich en or. O hi mina morviena, o hi mina korviena, o hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fuicho.